Star Wars figures have been around for nearly 40 years, and they have gone through several redesigns and reboots. There are thousands of figures and vehicles, and for both new and experienced collectors, that can be a bit intimidating. There's a huge learning curve upon entry to the line, and it's difficult to know where to start. Hi, I'm Dan Larson, and these are 10 things you need to know about vintage Star Wars action figures. Number 1, this may be stating the obvious, but the term vintage gets thrown around for toy lines as recent as 1985. However, when applied to Star Wars, vintage specifically refers to the original line of figures that ran from 1977 through 1985. Some collectors do include the figures released in 1985 from the two animated series, Droids and Ewoks, especially since Boba Fett and the A-Wing pilot carry over in Droids, but make no mistake about it. Everything produced after 1986 is not part of the vintage line and should never be referred to as such. Number 2, Kenner was able to acquire the Star Wars license prior to the film's release in May of 1977, but there still wasn't enough time to get the figures out for Christmas. Kenner took the unconventional step of offering an early bird kit, which was essentially a Star Wars branded cardboard box that had a coupon that could be redeemed for the first 4 figures in the line, once they were actually manufactured, similar to Kickstarter promotions of today, where you show your support with cash up front, and then you cross your fingers and hope the figures get shipped and don't look like total garbage. Number 3, I have no idea how many figures are in the original line. Depending on what you use as your source, and believe me, I looked at a lot of sources researching this, there are either 93, 96, or over 100 figures in the vintage line. If we're talking about carded figures released in the US, the number is like 92. If we're talking globally, it's like 93. If we're talking about variant figures that are distinct enough to be considered a figure that should be collected to call your collection complete, then it's well over 100. Most checklists you see aren't going to count variants like big or small head Han, they're just going to say Han Solo. And that list should be around 100 figures if they include Blue Snaggletooth and the entire Rebo band. Number 4, lightsabers were originally twice the length that most of us know them as. Referred to as double telescoping, very early figures had a second, much smaller, much more fragile, much harder to manufacture second blade that extended from the tip of the lightsabers as we generally know them. A lightsaber by itself with no figure in good condition can sell for hundreds of dollars. Carded versions push well into the thousands. Number 5, initially the Jawa had a vinyl cape just like Vader, Obi-Wan, and the Tusken Raider. Realizing that people were paying the same price for half the figure, Kenner decided to pack a little more value into the Jawa and changed its vinyl cape to cloth goods. Today, authenticated loose figures can go for over $1,000, and on the rare occasion that an authenticated carded version hits the market, we're talking in the range of tens of thousands. Number 6, over the course of 8 years, Kenner factories churned out over 40 million units. That's a huge number. To put that in perspective, that's almost as many people as there are in the entire country of Spain. Number 7, some of the figures like Greedo and Walrus Man were based on a single photo that didn't even show the entire character, leaving Kenner designers to make some educated guesses. On top of that, character names that today are obvious weren't so easy to match up with the parade of robots and aliens that Lucasfilm threw at them. When talking about the vintage line, you have to be very specific if you're asking someone about Bounty Hunters 4LOM and Zuckuss. A hardcore collector will insist that the bug with the coat is 4LOM and that the robot bug is Zuckuss, because that's what it said on the packages, and the packages is law. Number 8, in 1977, Star Wars figures cost around $2 new, which translates to about $7.50 in today's dollars. If we use that inflation number and consider that most of the figures in the vintage line can be purchased today on the secondary market loose complete for around $8 to $15 per figure, at best, most Star Wars figures have either doubled in value or simply retained their original value. Number 9, while she does get 5 different figures, Princess Leia is the only human female character in the line. And I don't know enough about alien and droid genders, so she might just be the only female in the line, period. Seems weird when you consider how many robots and aliens they made that literally appear in only a few frames of film, where there are living, breathing human actors with lines that never got plastic representation. Aunt Beru, Mon Mothma, Ula, all of those cantina ladies, the other dancing girl at Jabba's palace. They say Cy Snoodles is female, but it's going to take more than lipstick to make me a believer. Number 10, there's no such thing as entitlement. Look, I wasn't there when the decisions were being made as to which characters would be made into figures and which ones wouldn't. Why Pruneface got made, but Tarkin didn't is beyond me, but there were lots of significant players that got left out. Slave Leia, the entire Cantina band, Tarkin, Ula, Owen and Beru, Biggs, Porkins, Mon Mothma, Woo-Her. Blame it on G.I. Joe and He-Man, because I'm sure if the line lasted another year, Kenner would have filled in some of those gaps. And those are the 10 things you need to know about vintage Star Wars action figures. Thanks for watching. Please make sure to like this video and subscribe, and let us know in the comments below if you collect the vintage line so I can high-five you for being a fan of figures with 5 points of articulation. There's no way that was in frame.